I said that I will talk about web factories with Typo 3, but not only, more general point of view about building website with some kind of industrialization of this process. So, start with a short presentation. It's me, we are a big company, we love Typo 3, and if you have any question, just feel free to ask me. I will not spend more time on this. So, really short introduction. What's the point of building a web factory today? I just can build a website, but what a web factory will give me? Yesterday, a company had one website, maybe two. Today, company have many websites. It costs a lot of money, a lot of time, and we have a lot of type of website. So almost everything is online, and so web factory, the main point of it is getting website faster. Not only website, intranet, we see a lot of website, upsite. Get it faster, get a big cost reduction, and the cost reduction is not only while building website, but also during the maintenance, during the full life of a website. Also to have some kind of uniformity. You have 10 websites, you have a brand, you hope that all these websites look the same. When I look at your website, I must say, okay, this is this brand. So uniformity, visual identity, also to ease the share of content, the share of training of people. You have a team of people that will need to add content to one website, two websites, maybe 10 websites. If you have 10 backend to manage, it's far more complicated for them. And technical resources have less work to do with the web factories because all the websites will have the same basis, and it's easier to maintain, to do version upgrade, for example. So we'll see it later. So what is a web factory? In fact, it's a website. You have some ingredient in this website. You have some content, of course, not only text content, but also media, user pages, group, access rights, a lot of things. We can consider everything as content. You have also some code, PHP code, your Typo 3 core, for example, your extension, but also templating, what your website looks like. And you have a lot of workflows. Workflows are how to generate content, how to publish content, how to update content, also how to deploy PHP code, for example, new updates. And you have all these kind of ingredients that will make your website. Then you have many kind of website. So you could have many archetype of website, some dimension. For example, I could have a brand website with some e-commerce part, and maybe some blog about the life of my company, of ideology of my company. You have all this kind of archetype mixing together in some dimension. If it's not complicated enough, we just try to industrialize it, because we have all this kind of things, and we just want to centralize it, to have a better management, to build websites with all these heterogeneous needs, then manage the content from one website, push it to another website, to another channel, and also to apply the workflow to all this action. When I push one website to another one, this is a workflow. As I said, we have many heterogeneous needs. You could have a brand website, an intranet website, an e-commerce platform. How to mix them together and fulfill all the needs at one time with one web factory. It's the point of web factories. So You could just start with a simple solution. You need an e-commerce platform? Okay, just use Magento, PrestaShop, anything. You need a CMS? Use Typo 3, of course, or something else. You need maybe an internet platform? Use Liferay. So you will have a lot of products fulfilling each of them one of your needs. So they will be really well fitted to what they need to do. They can go very far in the possibilities, but will have a lot of drawbacks. You will have many user interface, so training costs, so complexity, and also technical complexity, because you have to maintain one PHP base, maybe 2, 3, 4 PHP base of 4 different products, or maybe a Java product too. So it's far complicated, and it costs a lot of money. Then you can go for something different. Say, okay, I will do a basis, and then from these things, I will try to specialize. To say, okay, I have this, for example, Typo 3 core, and then do e-commerce platform on it, on the blog, website, and intranet. You will have some gain of it. Common user interface, so less training. Reduce your starting cost, because you don't have to build a new package every time. You have this starting package. But you will introduce some new drawbacks, some functional limitation, some constraints, because each product have more limitation. And it still costs a lot to maintain, because you have a lot of products that will just move from this basis and then become their own product, and it would still cost a lot. You could also say, okay, I will just build one website and everything will be in that website. It's kind of making one big website with many extensions, for example. You have a unique tools, you have a unique user interface, so maintenance cost will be quite low. You will have some simplicity, but you will add more and more constraints on what you can do, less flexibility, and it will become complicated to maintain everything and to make it move to another solution. If you want to update your e-commerce platform, it will be complicated, because you will need to manage what kind of impact it can have on your intranet or on other things. The reality, there is not one solution. In fact, it's almost impossible to unify everything. So all is not lost, of course. The best you can do, at least, is to choose some product and then try to give them few short perimeters on what they can do, what they need to do together. But for example, it's maybe not a good idea to mix your internet on e-commerce platform. So you will have to do some kind of reflection on it, to say, okay, I need to mix them or not mix them, and that's what we'll see after. So we have almost 4 ways to build web factories. It's not only way, it's more steps. So when you start from the first way, you just have this basis. You are more focused on a technical point of view. You just want to share your code. You just want to do some to cut costs on development, for example. So you will still need a lot of manual operation to move content from one side to another if you want to. You will still need a lot of action if you want to make a new website, because it's only a starting package. If you want to go a step further and start to build what is really a web factories, you will go to the step 2, the way 2, and this is the first level of web factory. Deployment are mostly automated, so it's just a click and deploy solution. You just fill a form, and then, okay, you have a new website. But you still need to manage your content and move them, and it's still cost a lot on the content side. Then you can move to another step and say, okay, you will have the full-fledged web factory that can build new website, which we should call children website, and you will get them updated. When you push a content from the master website, it will get pushed to the children website. You can customize the way they look and have still a centralized management of what they are showing on how their behavior on the website. The fourth step, we are not talking about a web factory. In fact, to do a short example, it's when you are starting from a starting package and then doing a lot of modification, then it's not under the web factory anymore, because you can't get new evolution, new code from your starting package and introduce it in your existing website. It's not possible, it's complicated. You can't get content, so you just start it from a Kickstarter package, for example, but then you can't keep update, and there are just new website alone on the side. So we are not talking about a web factory. I will go very fast on this slide because they are quite heavy. So the way one is mostly about deploying the same code base, and it's really a technical point of view. It reduces a lot the starting cost, and it can be useful when you have maybe a lot of subsidiaries, and for example, each brand, each country, and you want to manage them independently. So you just start a website, and then they have the same aspect, and every country of your company will manage their content and live their life. We already talked about the drawback. On the way to, you keep the same base, so you have all what you already liked before, but now you have some linking and deployment, and it still reduces the cost, but you will start to manage everything in a central place, and it will become more easy to have your content centralized. When you push to the way 3, you still share code, you still share everything. You can customize a lot of things and still keep this uniformization, this sharing, even if the website start looking quite different. So this is the most complicated solution, but when it's working, it's quite great and impressive. What you need to do when you want to go for the web factory, you need to have a strong strategy from the beginning. You have a lot of questions to ask. We'll go on some of them. And you have most 3 aspects you need to fix just before going to say, okay, we will do a web factory with this product and this strategy. The first thing to ask are about project management and infrastructure management. For example, on the hosting part, when you do web factories, you will have many websites. So performance, scalability, load balancing, maybe deploying on a cloud like Amazon is something really important, because it's far more complicated than just having a dedicated server. You will also maybe have a website for France, for Germany, but maybe also for Asia or maybe America. So you need to think, okay, my website is worldwide, so my server here can't be efficient to push content for Asian or American. So maybe you need to switch to content delivery network like Akamai. Also, you will need to look at how you manage your user if you are using web factories for internet, for example. How will it work? It's also stand for management. How I will manage every access right. Maybe my French team doesn't have to see what the German team is doing. So it's a strong point to fix from the beginning. As I say, it's worldwide, so you can have problem at night for you, but it's not night for Japanese people, for example. So your website needs to work all the day, all the night, every time. So it can change the way you are working. For example, if you have something to do that will break the website for 2 hours, you will do it at night. It's okay for you, but it's not okay for other people. So you need to go for live patching, for example. And because your webfactory will be used for a lot of websites, maintenance and long-term support solutions are very important. The change management is also important. You will switch from many products to one product. So you will have to help your user to switch to your new solution and to help them to accept this new solution. The second part of what we need to think when we are building web factories is about content. Where do my content come from? Are they managed from a central place and maybe from every website, maybe a mix of them? Most of the time it's a mix. And how we will work with all this content coming from many places and showing on many places. For example, who is in charge of managing the global content in English? Because maybe it will be shown on many websites in English, but how will it work when we need to translate? And there is a lot of workflow you need to fix and to decide, because it can have a strong technical, it can imply strong technical modification on how you will work and how your web factory will work. And also, it's more than text. It's also access right, files, and everything that is content must be managed before starting the web factory building. Then a web strategy. Search engine optimization, we can't rely on a global setup. If you are having a worldwide website, the search engine optimization for the United States or for Europe or for Japan is not the same. Some points are important for us, not for other people. So it must be adapted to each local market. So your platform needs to be able to adapt to every market it will address. Accessibility, we had a talk just before about accessibility. In Germany, you have some rules. In France, you have some other. In every country, you have some rules, and you have to be sure you can't comply with all of them. Also, you have some local context. Sorry. Maybe in your country, internet is really fast. Maybe in your country, everything is using iPad. In another country, it will be slower connection, or maybe only iPhone, or maybe only computer. And maybe here you are using Internet Explorer, and in another country, it will be Chrome or Firefox. So you will have to build a strong web strategy for every of the website your web factory is building. We'll do a short presentation, introduction of what the other CMS are doing. For each product, we will see some feature and components that are useful for web factories. I will not, of course, show everything what they are doing. We have no time for this, but we will see just some points that are different of what you can find on Typo 3. I think most of you already know Typo 3, know how it works, and I will just focus on what is different from Typo 3. So, first one, everyone, oh yeah, Drupal. How multi-site is working in Drupal. It's far different from other CMS like Typo 3 or maybe Jaia or eZPublish, because multi-site is using a multi-database architecture. So if you want to have 10 websites, you need 10 databases. You can share code, you can share a lot of things, like functionality, but every website will got its own database. On each website, you will be able to manage content, enable or disable feature. Everything is stored in the database. So just look like this. When you are doing a web factories with Drupal, what is different from Typo 3 is mostly the way of sharing content. You will use a central repository where every content is, and then you will just pick and show it on your website. When you need to deploy a new site, you have the deploy on web factory modules for Drupal. We will see just a screenshot just after. And what is nice with this module is content validation. See just after. Also, for the global recipe that is used to deploy a new website, it's simply using a skeleton. So you have a package with module, with a set of settings, and when you are deploying a new website, it's just doing some script that will take this module, these settings, and deploy the new website. So on this screen, you can see the content management screen of Drupal Web Factory module. So how it works, it's quite easy. You see only what I've changed. Sometimes it has been updated, so it's okay. This one still needs update. And the contributors on each country website, for example, will see this screen and say, okay, I want to pick this new content or to update my old content and get the new content. So it's quite simple. It addresses easily the updating of simple content. For complicated content, it's become far more complicated, of course. And you can also decide to unlink content from the central repository. For example, you had pick up a content, you want to manage it on your own, don't get update anymore and change everything. You can just unlink it and link it and make your update just as if you had written this content by yourself. Sorry. You have good and bad in Drupal. We'll just focus on web factories. You have almost all the parts to build the web factories. It can adapt to very large websites, but there is some drawback on this, and there is some bad points. You have no easy way to deploy a website. The web factory module today is not quite stable, it's not finished. And when you use a multi-database architecture, it can become complicated on an hosting point of view. And access right to restrict people from seeing content of other people is not quite easy to manage. Sometimes you have too much restriction, sometimes you have not enough restriction. It's very hard to add just the right amount of restriction to your access right. We will look to a Java product named Jaia. The subtitled themselves as Digital Factory. And we just look at how they manage their web factory feature that is integrated in the core and how it works and how maybe we should inspire to make something as nice, maybe in Typo 3. So on this screen, you have what are called web project. You can translate it as website. And you can start building new website. It's easy. You just have a form, sorry, and you set some information. What is my website name? What is my website template? I want to build an intranet with a flashy color, maybe an e-commerce platform. You choose between a catalog, and then you will have your new website created, and you can manage what you want to put inside. It's just like extension for Typo 3. Okay, I want a forum, I want a news system. You just choose. And you can also manage it later. But I think that's all we can see on the screen, yes. And you can also choose the language of the website, of course. So every setting is managed there. And then your website is created and you can start working with it. So what is good with this solution? That is, it's integrated in the core, in the solution from the beginning. So you have one way to build a web factory. It's how to do it, and everyone will do it this way. So it's quite sharp, it's quite nice. And also, Jaia recently done a rework of their code base. So it's for a company, when you say, okay, this product is quite new, it will last for many years, it's clean, it's quite good for the image of the product. Also, backend looks nice, so it's a good CMS. But you have some drawback. Creating new content must be made by developers. You can create new content from the backend, so quite like Typo 3. And you have also some license fee, and it's cost a lot, 15,000 euros a year by Java virtual machine. So if you have a very big website, you will need a lot of virtual machine, and it will cost more. Then Liferay, another Java product that is advertised as a portal. We just look at how it looks in the back office, in the backend. It's quite the same. You will just have to fill a form to build a new website from templates. So I just give the name of my website, select some right. Okay, I want this website to be managed by the French team. And maybe it can be managed by the global team too, so I will have to fix some access right and delegation. And then I will just start selecting a template. So maybe I want to build, oh, wrong button. Maybe an internet website, so I just click this. And then that's it, I have my website. So Liferay is quite a good product. We have many CMS feature. Of course, it's a CMS, but we have also many out of CMS feature. And Web Factory is native. We have a large community, marketplace of extension and new feature. But we have quite big drawback of on this product today. There is a technical rework that is currently running. So for our company, it's not a good point, because they will say, okay, maybe in 2 years I need to change everything. And you also have license fee. They are quite complicated, but it costs almost the same as Jaia. And last but not least, we'll see what we can do with Typo 3, the best part, of course, and how we can manage to build web factories with Typo 3, what is existing and what we can do. In Typo 3, I think you all know how it works. We have a lot of tools that can be used to build web factories. For example, multi-website, multi-language, a quite strong structuring of page tree and access right. So these kind of things are very cool because you have all the ingredients to build a web factory. You have cascading, like access right. You set an access right on the root page, you will find it on children page. Sharing or isolating, you can say, okay, I want to share this thing with these people, but maybe not with this one, and this thing will not be shared. You can set everything. This can be quite complicated at the end, but you can do it. You can apply it to a lot of things. It can be on templating, feature, pages, content, most everything. So how most web factories work in Typo 3? When you will search for extension that are doing web factories on Typo 3, you will always find the same way of working. first thing to do is create a copy from a mother website. Mother website is just a big template, so you build your website, you add some generic things on it, and it will be the template for creating a new website. Then the factory, we will apply theme on it, just do some setup, enable, disable feature, and everything will be hidden behind the form. So for an end user, it's quite simple to use it, and he will not see this complexity. So this is an example that we made for one of our customers. You just fill a form, say, okay, I want this title, I want these settings, I want to apply access right on this group. Then you just press submit, and then it goes. It will go from one step, one by one. And at the end, you have your website. So it's not a 1, 2, 3 step, it's more a 1, 2 step. And when your website is created, your children website, you can start managing your content and adapt the design. So it's a kind of the step 2 of the web factories. You manage deployment, you can have some linking on maybe user management, but not almost on content. What you can do today with Typo 3 is using some extensions that are made to build web factories. You have 3 extensions. 2 are quite old. When you talk about FreeSite, it's the first one, 2002. So it's far away. Already in 2002, we talked about, okay, we need to industrialize, we need to have a web factory. It was made by Casper himself, and it was not well maintained because it was an old code base, and in 2009, development just stopped. In 2009, you have ICS Utopia extension that was quite similar to FreeSite that just stopped. So you have no manual, so don't try to use it today. It's just impossible. And you have a very nice extension, quite simple today, but can do very nice things. That is called Site Factory. It's made by a French developer. It was published last summer, but it's quite older. And you have some drawback, of course. It's not well tested with version 7 of Typo 3, but this works quite easily, and you can help him because he's very helpful and motivated. I will show how it works and how you could set up a simple but very effective web factories with this extension. So this extension, the features are quite simple. It will do all the setup of children website just by filling a form, just like I said before. So backend user right, file management using the file abstraction layer, and extension settings, for example, your news extension, and all through TypoScript. You can have a full presentation. It's in French, sorry, but quite simple to understand on the link. And you can see some screen on the right. There you can see the process of creating a of creating a website, and you can see how the setup is made. This is a development part. So we just do some TypoScript and say, okay, I want this step. I want to use this PHP class because you have some code to do. But then for the customers, for the end user, all this thing is hidden behind the scene, and it just works. So what people see is just a form you have to fill, and then you have a new website. So when you look at Typo 3 compared to other products, you have some good points and bad points. Good points is you have every ingredient, every part of what you need to build a web factory is here, and is available. It has been available for many years, and you have a strong access right management. This is very important in web factories, and Typo 3 has a good one. You have high performances and high scalability. When you have 10, 100 of websites with huge load, you don't want to be just unavailable. And you have at least one solution. So today you can start building web factories with Typo 3. It's not an unstable extension, it just works. But you have some bad points. The click and deploy extension are quite old, so you can use it, or very young. So maybe there is a problem in confidence in it. Also, creating a new website template, not creating the children website, but the template that is used to build the website is still a development job. So your end user, your customers, will not be able to add new template website without knowing how Typo 3 works. And the web factory feature of Typo 3 is not advertised at all. You have a popularity depth on it. So when you ask people, do Typo 3 can be used to build web factories, they most of the time say, no, not exactly, you don't have the form, you don't have everything you need, but you can do it manually. It's false. You have some extension, and they works. So that's it. If you have any questions, I hope you enjoyed the presentation.